All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the episode and live stream here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan Encoder, and if you guys do want access to that private repository, there's a link in the description down below. Let's go ahead and log in. I'm not as prepared as I usually am. Let's go ahead and log in as Unknown Coder, and I'll go ahead and go over what we worked on last episode. So last episode, we kind of got all this working. We got it so whenever you scroll to the bottom, it loads in new things. We probably want a spinner there. This is kind of where we're at. Now, this episode, I have a few things that I want to work on. The first two shouldn't be too crazy. The third one, I'm trying to think about how I want to do this, but I want to start getting the likes going up. So we have two options. We can either we could use a WebSocket, which I don't know, I might do, or we could just make a regular request, but we need to go ahead and make an API endpoint on our backend, and so on. And then also I want to, whenever we repost something, for example, I want it to actually reflect on here. And I think that whenever we create a post, what I want to do is to go ahead and reload the page. But whenever we do this, it doesn't really do anything right now, because what's going on is all of these posts are in the feed, but all of the actions are actually on the post itself. So I actually found a way to kind of reflect that across. But the first thing I want to go ahead and do is I want to get rid of these numbers, because whenever there's nothing, no interactions on any of these, all of these numbers should be just gone completely, which should be pretty easy to deal with. So let's go ahead and hop into our code. Let's get into our front end. So let's go ahead and go into the post, wherever our post is. I should really switch over to NeoVim probably after my break here. So I'm going to be live streaming today and tomorrow. Then Vim are going to be over the next couple weeks, and then I guess I'll probably switch over to NeoVim after that. So we go into our post, and right now we have these wherever they are. So reply, outlines, and then we have these. So what I'm thinking is we go ahead and wrap these like so. And what we can do is we can check for these. So we can say post replies dot length greater than 0. And we can do this across all of these. So next one, wrap this one as well, wrap this one as well, and then this will be post, and then this one is repost. So repost dot length greater than 0. And so this is the nice thing about these being arrays of people. And then now we have our likes. So let's go ahead and wrap this one, and then this one would be post dot, and then this one is likes dot length is greater than 0. And then finally we have our count. So same thing with count we should get working. The only thing that kind of stinks about count is going to be we only have one person that I really log into, so it's kind of stinks. But if we can at least get it looking and updating as we kind of scroll by, I think that'd be good. I don't know if we're going to be able to get it real time, because I don't know if Twitter does real time either, but if we could get it real time, that'd be pretty cool. And then finally we'll do bookmarks. So bookmark, although I don't actually know if Twitter actually puts them beside bookmarks unless you click on it. So this one we might change. So post.bookmarks dot length is greater than 0 in this. So we might change this. I'll see. But now if we come in here, now this is what it looks like. And then if we click on one of these, it should add to them, obviously. So that's the next thing that I want to work on, is I want to go into our feed, or not our feed, I want to go into our post slice and kind of make some changes. So I actually found, and I closed out of it, of course I did. Basically what I want to do is let's go back into our front end. Let's go into our post slice. So right now our create reply is in post slice, our create reply with media is in post slice. Obviously our create post and create post with media are in post slice, but also our repost to posters in post slice, our like a post, and our bookmark post. So all of these are inside the post slice, but the posts that are actually in the feed itself are here inside of this feed post, or this feed slice. So basically we need a way of updating our list of posts in here, but it needs to happen inside the post slice, right? So I did a little bit of research today, and it turns out that this Thunk API can actually do some pretty cool things. So what I think I'd like to do is, if we create a post with any logic after we get the data back, I think that what I'd want to do is send this, I think actually we want to refetch the entire feed page is what I think we want to do, because I think that's what Twitter does. So I think we can keep this guy. The only thing is I think we have like a list of posts on here, so we no longer need this post slice or post state post. And I don't know if this is being used anywhere, so I'm curious if we delete this and also delete the posts out of here. I'm curious to see if this still compiles. Obviously, I think there's issues down the line. So if we scroll down on our post slice, I think we're adding stuff to the post slice down here. Yeah, it's like whenever we create a post, but like we're never using this and we're never using this. So I'm curious to see like if this still compiles or if there's any issues going on. So that doesn't show any issues. If we refresh, does it show any issues? Cool, so that's a good refactor. So now if we come back up here into our create post, I don't remember what create post returns. That's the only issue. So we'll go ahead and say const, and we'll say data, I guess, is equal to rec.data. That should be fine. And here we'll just go ahead and return the data. We're not really going to be doing anything with it. We could append it to the top, but I'm pretty sure Twitter will completely reload the page. And if there's other stuff on top of yours, it'll put it on top of yours. So what I didn't know we could do is we can actually say thunk API.dispatch. We can actually dispatch another thing. So if we go into our feed slice, what we should be able to actually do is we should actually be able to dispatch load feed page, and it'll go ahead and load the feed page. Now, what does this actually need in it though? So this might be an issue. So load feed page needs the token, the user ID, the session start, and this. Okay, so now what I think that we might do is we might extract the session start, and we might extract these two into the actual slice itself, because I was thinking about this the other day. We probably don't need this in here. We can probably just go ahead and put it into there, and then we can set it whenever we do something, right? Because in here, whenever we dispatch our load feed page, this needs a few things that we may or may not have access to. So this needs, let's see. So this needs the token, which we might have in body. So body dot token. Well, actually, we might want to do this. Token body dot token. So we have that. We need the user ID. So that'd be the author. So I don't know if we called this author or what we called this. It might just be called user ID or something. Yeah, user ID will be author body dot author dot user ID. And then we need the session start in the page. So page we'd have to get from, I guess page would just automatically be 0. And then we would have a session start. So session start could be like new date or something. So that should, in theory, dispatch all of this. Now, the only thing is now what I'm thinking we do is inside of our feed slice, we're going to refactor a little bit. And I think we bring in our session start and our page, as long as it lets us serialize the date. I don't know if it's going to let us serialize the date or not. Let's go into our feed slice. So now in here, outside of current post, what we'll go ahead and have is we'll have a current page number, which is a number, and we will have a session start, which is going to be a date. So we'll see if it likes this. So date, I'm not sure how we're going to do. Maybe date or undefined, because we'll just do date or undefined. That way we can keep undefined here. So current page number will obviously start out as 0. And then our session start will be undefined, just to make our lives a little bit easier. Now we're going to have to check for this, which is going to be a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. So now what I'm thinking is this. I guess we'll just set up dispatchers for this. Let's go ahead and do this. We will go ahead and inside of our reducers. So inside of our reducers, we'll say set session start. I guess we can reset this too if we wanted to. State action payload. And this will be a date or undefined. And inside, we'll just say state is equal to ... state. And then our session start will be action.payload. Actually, there's the action.payload, right? And payload should be payload action. And then here we'll return state. And then maybe what do we want to do here? Yeah, we probably want to set current page number. So you probably could have just done a thing with like the name and value, but whatever. Set current page number. And then this will be state and action, payload action. And then what we can say is this will be a number. And then we'll just say state is equal to ... state. And then our current page number is action.payload. And then let's go ahead and return the state. We need to do some refactoring before we can actually test to see if this works, but that should be fine. And then we'll call this, where we actually, whenever we load the feed page, so we're just going to make it so it recalls the feed page and does that. Let's go ahead and put this, so our set current page number and set session start. We almost need to pass back to session start. That way we could set it whenever we load the feed page. So let's actually go into Java and pass back to session start. That way we can get it from the body inside of this. And we can say that like here, we can set the session start to action.payload.session start. And that should help us out. We could also return the page that we got and then set it to page +1. And then that might also make our lives a little bit easier too. I don't know. So in Java, I think we want to go ahead and make a response DTO that's going to return the list of these guys and then have some other information. So in our DTO, let's make a new Java class. I'm going to go ahead and call this feed. Actually, we can call this get feed or fetch feed response or something like that. Fetch feed response DTO. And then here we're going to have a few things. So we can go and have the session start, I guess. Or actually, let's do the private integer page first. And then we'll have a private local date time. And this will be, let's go and Control enter that, and then this will be session start. And then finally we will have, what's the last thing that we want? Oh yeah, our private list of feed post DTOs. Okay, and let's go and also import our list for it complains. And this will be called post, I guess. I mean, it's more than post, but we'll just call them post, that's fine. Go ahead and create a constructor. So this will be a no arg constructor. We'll make an all args constructor. So right click, generate constructor, grab them all. And then we'll do our simple getters and setters. So go ahead and say generate our getters and setters for everything. And we'll also go ahead and just make a quick toString, right click, and generate toString. Cool, so that's simple enough. So now back in our, first we'll go to our feed controller, wherever our feed controller went. And let's go ahead, instead of returning this guy, we'll go ahead and return a fetch feed response DTO. Now of course this breaks everything. So now we need to go into our feed service. In here, this will go ahead and return a fetch feed response DTO. And what we'll do is we still have this guy. So then we can return a new fetch feed response DTO. So this is going to have our session date. Our session start can just pass back. It'll have our page, which we passed. And then we'll also go ahead and have our, I think we call this following post. I passed page first. Fair enough. Okay. Whoops. Uh-oh. Go ahead and copy this. And I scuffed everything. Cool. So a page, session start, and then following post. This is the page of post. Oh, it should be feed post DTOs. There we go. Cool. So now we can, what is wrong with this? This is a list. So I guess we can just call this, right? And paste it there and get rid of this guy, which I think it was complaining about anyway. And then we can go and rerun this, and we're gonna have to refactor how this works inside of our code. So we can actually hop into Postman really quick just to see what it looks like. Okay, so now if we go into our feed, we go ahead and get our feed for us, so user 1, and then we'll go ahead and change this to 9 at midnight. Whoops, this should be 4, and then this will be 9 at midnight. If I could type page 0, we pass it back, hopefully it works. Cool, you see we started at page 0. Our session start was the date that we passed in, and then we have all of our posts. So I'm going to bring this over here because this will be useful for us in the front end. So we go back to our front end. So now we're going to make that same request. We have the user ID, we have the page, we have the session start. We also have our headers and our payload token. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we will scroll down. So now in here, I don't think we need these set session start and set current page because we're going to handle this inside of our requests. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of this, and this will be interesting to see if this is going to work or not. So save that. So now whenever we have it fulfilled, not only are we going to set the post, we'll also go ahead and set error to false as well, just to be safe. But we're also going to set the session start and other stuff. So session start will be equal to action.payload, and we need to change this. So this will be action.payload.post. This will be action.payload.session start. And then finally, our current page number will be action.payload, and then this will be page +1. So then we'll add 1 to the page and save that. And what we might want to do is we might want to check this stuff to make sure it works. But then what we can do is now whenever we're in the post slice, we'll go ahead and just make a new date. We'll set that back to 0, which will then in turn set to 1 and kind of go from there. So I think this should theoretically work. Now, I don't know if this Thunk API to dispatch is going to work. We might have done all this work for nothing. Again, I just read a Stack Overflow, and it said that we should be able to link it with this. So now inside of our feed itself, we're going to need to do some refactoring. So I think we're going to go ahead and get rid of these because we don't need them. But what we are going to go ahead and do is we will bring in this. So we will go ahead and say const and current page number is equal to use selector state root state. So we will say state.feed and then .current page number, and then const session start is equal to session, use selector state root state, and this will be state.feed and then session start. So now what we should be able to do is we should be able to just pass current page number directly in here. So copy this and paste this. So now this is going to be complaining because session start could be false or it could be undefined, right? So session start will be session start ? Session start, otherwise it'll be a new date. I'm fairly certain still doesn't like that. So session start is a date expected, comma. Okay, fair enough. I still think it'll complain if we don't have this. Let's just check. Yeah. So it's because it could be undefined. However, here's the deal. So if we're fetching next posts, we should theoretically already have a session start. That should be fine. We should have a session start set already. We'll see if anything funky happens, and we can probably check this. Like we might be able to just console.log session start to make sure it's working the way that we kind of expect. So we can console.log our session start. Let's actually do this. So we'll say session start, comma, session start, and then we will say current page and current page number, just to see if it's working kind of how I expect. So we can watch for those two. That's fine. Maybe, well, actually, we don't want to watch. Let's do this. Let's watch it in here, and let's watch it inside of here whenever we dispatch. I just want to be safe that we don't call this all the time. So this one, we want a new date because this should be this one. This dispatch will be the first time we load, so we want to go ahead and set it to the current date. This one, we should more or less be able to reuse the session start. And then the same thing's going to happen whenever we're in the post slice. Hopefully, we will reset this back to page 0. We might want to, in here, set this page to 0. So anytime that we get it from loading the page, we'll set it page to 0 and the new date. Otherwise, if we're fetching new posts, we'll go ahead and use the current page number, which should hopefully be set up automatically. Now that was a lot of talking and not a lot of testing, so hopefully this just works. I don't have to deal with too much debugging. But yeah, I guess let's just see what happens. Hopefully it's not too broken. Okay, it's very broken. Okay, so they're here. We inspect the console. Console, please. We can see that our session start is undefined and current page is 0. So that's kind of what we expected because it loaded, but we didn't call it again. So now here's the real thing. So if we scroll to the bottom where we can see the last one, are we going to get like, so basically we want like 933 or something around 933. We don't want to go up. So I guess session start is still undefined, but in current page is still 0. But it looked like we grabbed more. We should make sure that we didn't get the same ones over again. Okay, I don't think I'm saying the same one again. Oh, no, okay. Phrase it like this. So it did grab the same ones. Feb 26. Feb 26. Okay, so session start and page were still 0. I wonder if we can't serialize the date and it's not yelling at us. The state is definitely set because I'm sitting here looking at the state showing this and this. So the state is getting reset each time this gets called for some reason. So where is this page 0 coming from? Is it resetting the feed slice or something? Before we get too deep into debugging this, let's just see if it even works whenever we add a post. So let's say, let's try to add a post. Ooh, it's lagging bad. That's not good. See if it automatically reloads the page. 500. Okay, let's see. Post ID 1 already exists. I think it has to do with this data SQL because we already created post 1. I've had this happen before, but I don't know how to deal with it. Does it have anything to do with the data SQL having the post ID set in it? We have all these post IDs and it has values. So I'm wondering if like we got rid of those, if that fixes the issue. I don't know. Well, let's go ahead and get rid of the post ID in this ID and let it be generated by the ID in the post ID. And maybe if we do that, maybe that's the issue. We have all these stupid things again. Okay, so if we refresh, it's probably not going to be any post in here. Yeah, this is scuffed again, which is great. You'd love to see it. So we'll say testing again. This is driving me nuts. That was it, huh? So post repository. Doesn't seem like we're getting our own posts. Oh. That would do it. I set all of these to 5. Why? Why did I do that? I don't know. And this is just hard-coded too. Was this not working? Or am I just lazy? Or did I copy and paste it without thinking? I could have just copy and pasted it without thinking, I guess. Let's go back to Mockaroo and let's generate some new data. Mockaroo. We gotta go through all this again, unfortunately. So, audience, content, posted date, is reply, reply restriction, reply to, then we have schedule, date, author, ID, and finally poll ID. The audience can be a number. And this is min 0, max 0. Content will be a sentence, one sentence, no more than one. Posted date will be a date time. And this will be SQL date time. That's fine. Is reply will be Boolean. And this one will say if true, then actually if this equal to true, then we'll return false, 0% blank. And let's see, so reply restriction will be a number. This will be between 0 and 0 decimals. Reply to, this one will just be empty. What is this one? There is one for blank. There we go. That one's blank. Scheduled date will just be blank. We will have next author ID will be a number between 1 and 4. And then I misscheduled, I think. Yeah, I misscheduled. So let's move scheduled above schedule date. And scheduled will be a Boolean. Here again, we'll do this. Whoops. Scheduled. If this is equal to true, set to false, apply, and then finally pull ID will be blank. And this will go into an SQL, and this is called post. Try again, reply, restriction, make sure this is scheduled date. So I think we have to put end at the end of it. And generate data. Bring this in to Postman or to IntelliJ. Hopefully everything is spelled right now. I didn't typo anything else. Now here's the real question. If we come in here, let's add a Makaru and refresh. Does anything show up? So stuff is showing up. However, our posts are not showing up properly. So if I say testing post again, please work. So that worked fine. If I refresh this, now posts are just working. I don't know what was going on that whole time. We got some newer ones though, so that's cool. So now that this is just like working, let's see what happens if we do this. So if we refresh, we see, let's see if we can get the feed slice to dispatch on a post. Why is this broken again? Why is this broken again? I'm just having the worst night, I think, right now. Because, like, why is this broken now? Whatever, I don't care. So it doesn't do what we want. Seeing if post slice will dispatch to feed slice. I'm going to clear this out. I don't care about that and send. So it did do all this, but it seems like maybe it's setting the time too late. So literally nothing I've tried has worked tonight, and I've just wasted like an hour and a half doing nothing. So the thing is, this is doing this. We should be waiting this to come back. Wait a minute. I know what's going on. I know what's going on. Watch. It pinned it to the bottom. We scroll down here. There it is. Okay. So realistically, we'd want like this. Theoretically, that's what we'd want, but we need to refactor this. So we're going to have a load feed page and then a fetch feed page. We're going to have two different ones, or fetch next page or something. So export const and then fetch next feed page, maybe, equal to create async thunk. And we'll say feed/next page. Say async payload. And I'll just do the same exact thing. And thunk API. This one we can try. It's going to be the same thing, except the whatever it's called, the reducer is going to be different. So paste this. I mean, realistically, we could go ahead and say, instead of passing session start, we can just pass in a user ID. So this payload, well, actually we need user ID, and so our load page payload can just be token and user ID. We can simplify this a little bit. But yeah, we can set this page to 0. And this will be a new date. And then what we can do is we can copy this. And I'll paste it in here. Like so. And it's scuffed. Copied too far. We want this. Copy this, try catch, make sure I don't go too far. There we go. Paste it in here. And what we'll do is now we'll go ahead and say interface fetch next page payload, and we'll still have a token string. We'll still have a user ID number, except this one, a page number. Oops, number. And session start to the dates. And we'll grab this. I at least want to get this done tonight since we wasted so much time. And in here, fetch next page, will have this. And this will be, this should, oh, I spelled ID wrong. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? Payload dot page, maybe. And payload dot, and this will be session start. And then come down here. We're gonna make this simple because I don't have that much time tonight after I wasted all my time. Builder dot add case. So here, this will be fetch feed page dot fulfilled. So if we fetch next page, we'll have state and action. And we'll say state is equal to dot state, and we'll do the same thing we did here. Copy this, paste that, return the state. So here, I'm just gonna go and set this to 1, because if we just loaded it, we want the next one to be 1. We can keep the session start, but we're gonna go ahead and set this to action.payload.post. So we'll set that. Otherwise, we'll append all of the new posts to the beginning of the array, and then all of the old posts at the end of the array, and then return that state. Now, post slice is broken, so you don't need to pass either of these. And let's get rid of the other space, save that. So that should fix post slice. And now feed is broken because whenever we go ahead and dispatch our load feed page, now we no longer need this. And then here, instead of load feed page, this will be fetch next feed page. And this will take in all of this. It should have a session start. Now this session start may or may not work, we'll see. So now if we come back into our front end, we refresh. I'm also gonna go ahead and delete all of the extra posts we made out of our back end. So if we come into our IntelliJ and refresh, we refresh our application, we should still get our post, hopefully. We still got our post. We have our session start at this date and our current page at 1. We might still have to debug our current page not working properly, which reminds me, we might want to double check that I incremented the current page, but let's go ahead and say test making a post, send it. Okay, there we go, test making a post. Now this did not work. So 0345 16. So this is still getting reset for some reason. That's what we wanted, right? We want to test if we scroll down, see if the current page goes to 2 and the session stays there. Session changed to 46. So we are dispatched from intersect. So we might need to ignore the session start inside of there. We might have to go back to a use state in here. Unfortunately, let's just check to see if the use state in here works. I think it was working in here. Session start, set session start to use state, whoops, and then set session. Actually, no, this would be this, and then new date. Make sure we return the dates. So now we're going to have an issue, right? This will set as soon as we load this page. The other option would be to force reload this page anytime something happens in the post slice, which I don't like either. Now I think if I refresh this, I think the page is still broken. So I don't think us updating the page did anything, but I think this will fix the date at least. No, it didn't, of course. That issue is actually from the page. So page is also being reset. So I guess we shouldn't have changed anything. We should have just kept the current page number the same as well. Page number. The issue is this. We don't have a way to reset it whenever we do create a post. That's the bigger issue that we have. Number set it to 0. The other option we could do is this. We could do something like jank like this. If we go into our post slice and we comment out this dispatch here, we could do something jank like this where we reload our feed page whenever. Do we have access to post state? No, but we can get access to it. Const post state equal to use selector state and root state. Whoops, root state dot post. So whenever we load a post, it's going to set post state dot loading. At least it should. Post state dot loading, and if this and post state dot loading is equal to false, but then maybe this will force reload the page as well. So if we refresh this, does our new post still work? Don't know why it's laggy, but okay. Does this still work? Okay, so that worked, and we expect to be at page 0. Now here's the question. Scroll down to the bottom of this. Do we get page 1? Well, 1, we got a whole bunch of dispatches, so that's not good. Okay, so that didn't work either. I think we never actually incremented inside of feed, so I don't think whenever we called this, then we need to go back and call set current page number to current page number +1. So I think we still have a page number issue, because this will never reset our session start unless the page reloads, because post state.loading changed. And post state.loading will only change if we go ahead and make a new post. So let's try this one last time before I go to bed here. Hopefully we got this working and I can move on to the other stuff I want to work on tomorrow. So I'm fairly happy with our new post. Now we need to keep our session start the same. Post did not go up. I don't know what to do here, I guess. This should be working fine. The current page number should not be 0. Our other option is this. We can add +1 here, and then we can set it here to current page number +1. Let's see what happens. It was set to 2 for a second, so it's at 1 right now. Actually, it's at 0. Now it's at 1. Still has my information. Set to 1 now. It says page 1. That time it did send page 1. We got page 1 here. We scroll down again. I'm wondering if we get what I'm looking for. We get the same page. Scroll down again. Still page 1. It's not even page 1. We got the right thing. So that means that maybe the feed slice isn't working. This one is backwards, right? Oh my goodness. This one we want this way. I think it was working the whole time. Let's make a new post to round out the night. I don't know why it's so laggy. Probably something inefficient going on. It loaded in. We scroll down to the bottom of the page. Let's see what happens. And it breaks. Why? Cannot read undefined post ID. State.post action payload.post. Is it because of this? Let's just do this really quick. It's getting late. I might have forgotten to break the old array down. I just forgot to break the old array down. And now we don't have a duplicate of mine. And I think they're all getting older. Okay, it's working now. That took way too long to get working, and I'm sorry for the mess of an episode. Just things were not going right. We got February 20 again, so I'm guessing that our whatever this is, this current page number is still not quite working the way that we want it to. So we're going to have to look into that, but appreciate everyone for stopping by. Sorry for the not very good episode. Sometimes things go really well in development, sometimes things don't go well. Hopefully we kind of end off like my streaming grind on a good foot tomorrow, but I appreciate you all for stopping by. This has been Ethan Encoder. Peace out, have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next episode and or live stream.